Hello, welcome. I'm Dr. Jonathan Burg. I'm an internal medicine doctor and president of Cornerstone Wellness. Today we're going to talk about a topic that's very important to people out there that are trying to lose weight, particularly if they're trying to lose fat while keeping muscle, which is really what it's all about, isn't it? It's protein. Protein is important for two reasons. Number one, protein is an appetite suppressant. It is nature's own appetite suppressant. When you eat protein, you're not hungry for a longer period of time. Whereas if you're eating carbohydrates, say a potato chip, you're going to go through that whole bag most likely, just like the old commercial said, no one can eat just one. You actually need about 1.5 grams if you're a man, or 1.4 grams if you're a woman, of protein per kilogram of body weight. So I'm 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, almost 100 kilos. So I need about 150 grams of protein a day if I'm going to keep my muscle while losing fat, which is what I want to do. The other thing is that you need muscle in order to preserve your metabolic rate. The amount of energy you burn, either at rest or with exercise, is completely dependent on the amount of muscle you have on your frame. The less muscle you have, the lower your metabolic rate. So people that have dieted over and over again typically are losing muscle because they're not taking enough protein, and that makes it much harder to diet the next time because they're not burning as many calories, so they're storing more calories as fat. So how do you increase protein? Well, there's two ways. One is to eat more protein-containing foods. These are things like beef, chicken, fish, and so forth. And the other way is to take protein in an altered form, in the form of a meal, a protein supplement. Okay, we recommend both. We like to see people increasing their protein, decreasing their carbs. But in order to get up to that cutoff of 1.4, 1.5 grams per kilo, people need to do both. Now there's several types of protein powders. They are not all the same. They have different purposes. So there's pure protein powders, there are bodybuilding proteins, and there are meal replacements. What I'll say about bodybuilding proteins is that they're for bodybuilders. Okay, if you're not a bodybuilder, if you're a 45-year-old woman and you're trying to lose weight, do you really want to look like what a bodybuilder wants to look like? Probably not. Meal replacements are basically protein supplements that are made specifically to replace one or more meals in the day. They must have a certain amount of protein, minimum amount of protein. They must have a certain amount of vitamins and minerals. Some have much more than others. You can buy them in the store, you can buy them on the internet, but there's a small cadre of meal replacements which are available only through physicians. These are medical meal replacements. Cornerstone is a medical meal replacement. You won't find it in a store, you won't find it on the internet, you can't even get it from us directly. You actually have to get it from your physician who has you on the program. Who better than your physician? In other words, your physician knows what your medical status is, they know your medical history, they know what diseases you have, and they're going to choose the correct meal replacement just as they would choose the correct medication for whatever disease state you may have. Cost is always an issue, okay? I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I don't realize that, but when it comes to meal replacements, you truly do get what you pay for. Some of the cost considerations are the type of protein. Soy, for example, is the cheapest protein you can make a meal replacement out of. Soy is not good for you. Soy is full of estrogen. It's been touted as a health food for years, although a lot of people are now starting to realize that it truly is not a health food. If it's anything but. It's made by the Monsanto company. It's called Roundup Ready specifically because it's resistant to the herbicide that they also make called Roundup. It's full of aluminum and full of all nasty kinds of things that you don't want, particularly the estrogen content is very high and so on and so forth. You want a certain amount of vitamin mineral content that gives you the kind of nutrition that you need, because most overweight and obese people really have had poor nutritional habits. They haven't gotten the vitamins and minerals they've needed over the years, and they've developed these sort of chronic deficiency states, and that's why we have super nutrition in our meal replacement. The Cornerstone meal replacement. But it's not only the amount of vitamins, it's the bioavailability. When people are overweight, they tend to have high insulin levels. When they have high insulin levels, a lot of their vitamins are not being processed properly, and they need sort of a preformed form of the vitamins that allows them to use the vitamins in a more efficient manner because of how sluggish their vitamin systems are, their enzyme systems are, excuse me. And again, the specific purpose, weight loss versus bodybuilding, natural versus artificial. This is an all-natural meal replacement, specifically developed all naturally, because my feeling is, as well as most experts in the field, that is natural is better for you than artificial. And certainly when it comes to cost, artificial is much less expensive than creating something naturally that has to be grown. The two other important issues are serving size and in terms of grams of protein, and servings per container. The amount of protein is extremely important. That's the most expensive part of a meal replacement. So you need to have enough protein to reach your goal of 1.5 or 1.4 grams per kilo, correct? So if you've got a 13-gram meal replacement per serving, it's not going to be as expensive, obviously, as a 30-gram protein per meal replacement. And servings per container. That's basic math. Okay, if something has 13 servings, it's going to be less expensive than something that's got 26 servings. Taste is important, not from the standpoint of cost, but in terms of usage. If something doesn't taste good, you're not going to drink it. And if you're not drinking it, you're not going to get the benefit. And everybody would agree out there at all the conferences we go to that the Cornerstone meal replacement is by far the best tasting meal replacement on the market. I'm not going to bore you with this chart. This has gone on quite some time already. You can find it on the web. Let me just summarize it for you. The Cornerstone meal replacement is a combination of whey and pea protein. These are two non-genetically modified proteins. When you combine an animal protein and a plant protein, you end up with a much more complex and healthier protein source. We have 23 grams of protein per serving. When you combine that with milk, you're at 31 grams, which far exceeds the protein content of the other meal replacements. In terms of vitamins and minerals, we're at about 200% on average of the RDA of all the vitamins and minerals. We have way more than that in the form of vitamin D, because most overweight people are D3 deficient. In fact, you may very well be on a D3 prescription currently, because overweight people tend to have lower amounts of vitamin D. The fat cells in their body actually suck the D right out of their blood, which puts them at risk for things like metabolic syndrome, cancer, and so forth. We use medium chain triglycerides. Medium chain triglycerides, a big word. Basically, it's a type of fat. It's a very, very healthy type of fat that's specifically in there for satiation. It makes you less hungry when you consume the shake. It'll hold you for 4, 5, 6 hours, so you won't have to worry about getting these hunger pangs, which will make you rush down to the vending machine and pop out a Three Musketeers bar. Cost. On a per gram of protein, like I was speaking about earlier, it's about 10 cents per gram of protein, which is by far and away the least expensive of all the medical weight loss meal replacements. And on the cost per serving, it comes out to about $2.20 per meal. Now tell me where you can get a meal with that kind of nutrition, 30 grams of protein, 200% of the RDA, 800 units of vitamin D3 for $2.20. What I did was I went to the store and today actually, and looked at, just grabbed some proteins off the shelf. Here's a soy protein powder. That's all it is. It's just soy protein powder, so it's less expensive. It doesn't have all the technology, the nutritional technology built into it that something like Cornerstone shake would have. This is again this is a protein designer whey. It's got some vitamins, minerals, about 20%, but it doesn't have medium chain triglycerides. It doesn't have the amount of vitamins, minerals. It doesn't have the bioactive forms that we have. And here's a bodybuilding protein, and it's a great example because it has something called metamycin in it. I didn't learn about metamycin in medical school. This compound was obviously created for bodybuilders. Do you want to look like a bodybuilder? Take this. If you want to lose body fat and look thinner and fitter, then you want to go with a meal replacement. Just a note about children. Kids love this stuff, and that's the best way to tell if something tastes good, because most kids have extremely sensitive taste buds. Here's a 2.5-year-old that just loves this stuff. She's been drinking it every morning since she was, I think, 14 months old. Kid's never been sick a day in her life. She gets super nutrition. She just loves it. She drinks it with her banana in the morning, and that's her morning meal. And it's extremely healthy at any age. Older people, young kids this age, and so forth. So in closing, let me kind of go through the points I made. When you're trying to diet, what you're trying to do is lose fat, keep muscle. Okay, don't worry about the weight. It's about how much muscle and fat you have. In order to keep your muscle, you need to increase your protein. That will maintain your metabolic weight, so you won't have to go through that dieting process again. In order to get protein, you need to get it from food, protein-containing food, but you also have to add in a meal replacement to reach that point of 1.4 to 1.5 grams per kilo, depending if you're a man or a woman. There are lots of meal replacements out there, lots of bodybuilding proteins out there. What you want is a meal replacement that's physician prescribed by your physician, and you want something that has the highest nutrition value available and is also all natural. You are going to pay more for it. I'm not going to be telling you anything you wouldn't expect, but it's well worth it, because think of how hard you're trying and what you're going through to try to lose this weight. I think it warrants a bit of an investment in time, which you're already doing, and certainly the cost is easily justified given what you have in mind for your goal, which is to increase your health, your quality of life, your longevity, and so forth. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing all of you again.